This is The Great Expanse by John Bapp 426. So glad to be talking to you guys here. I'm glad that we can have this discussion, whatever it is the take is going to be on. And that's basically what this is. It's very cathartic for me, the one making the videos. And I always appreciate comments because it gives me a little insight as to who you are. Now, I'll never know all of you personally. Maybe that can change. Who knows? I'm trying to think of maybe a newsletter to make things a little more community based. You know what I mean? So it's not just I got 165,000 subscribers. What are their names? Subscriber 1, 2, 3. Maybe, but who knows? Now this jumped out at me. I like to say Alejandro G. Inarritu. He was the director of The Revenant. He was the director of Birdman. And I know I'm not getting the title correct, but Michael Keaton starred as what is the name of that movie? It'll appear here on the bottom. That movie. And it says, this is the headline from Variety, okay? Still hurt by Robert Downey Jr.'s response to his belief that superhero films are cultural genocide. Interesting. Now, Inarritu is a very accomplished director. And Robert Downey Jr. is basically the face of comic book movies. I mean, I'll say that with all sincerity. Even though I despised Iron Man 3. But I don't think Robert Downey Jr. wrote that. So, like I said, it's Variety. It's a website. And the article is by Zach Sharf. Sharf, yes. Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu does not like superhero movies. I think that's what jumped out at me. The Oscar winner said in 2014 while promoting Birdman that superhero movies were a form of cultural genocide. And I really want to hear what he has to say about that, rather than me just going by the headline. This Inarritu guy is an idiot. He thinks they're cultural genocide. Why? I don't know. He said it. No. Adding, I don't respond to those characters. They have been poisoned because the audience is so overexposed to plot and explosions and shit that doesn't mean nothing about the experience of being human. That is his rationale. Okay. Robert Downey Jr. weighed in on Inarritu's comment in 2015 during an interview with The Guardian to promote his turn as Iron Man in the Marvel blockbuster Avengers Age of Ultron. That movie was very mid, as the people say these days. It's mid. Not great, not the worst, it's mid. But the actor's retort was somewhat controversial. Downey Jr. noted that he respects the heck out of Inarritu, but also mocked Inarritu's Spanish roots by saying, for a man whose native tongue is Spanish, to be able to put together a phrase like cultural genocide just speaks to how bright he is. Whoa, Robert. Slow down, Bob. Whoa. I probably should have done it in Robert Downey Jr.'s voice. Here, I'll try it. For a man whose native tongue is Spanish, to be able to put together a phrase like cultural genocide just speaks to how bright he is. Not very good. In a new interview with IndieWire out of Telluride, where Inarritu's Netflix movie Bardo screened following its world premiere at the Venice Film Festival, Inarritu reflected on Downey Jr.'s response. Suffice to say, Inarritu is still somewhat irked by Downey Jr.'s comeback. It was like, oh, you guys from your banana country, Inarritu said. If I were from Denmark or Sweden, I might be seen as philosophical. But when you're Mexican and you say things, you're pretentious. Shots fired back by Inarritu. Inarritu said in his initial remarks that just the word superhero bothered him, adding, what the F-U-C-K does that mean? It's a false, misleading conception, the superhero. Then, the way they apply violence to it is absolutely right-wing. Alright, so Inarritu is going political with it. If you observe the mentality of most of those films, it's really about people who are rich, who have power, who will do the good, who will kill the bad. Philosophically, I just don't like them. Bardo opens in theaters on November 18th and will stream on Netflix starting December 16th. Let's chew the fat, because there's a lot in there. Now, I don't want to misquote Alejandro, so I'm definitely going to read back over the article so I don't get it wrong. So he says he doesn't respond to those characters. Now, was he just talking about Marvel, or was he just talking about all superhero movies, period? Can we be honest here? Bruce Wayne, Lex Luthor, Tony Stark, white collar, the 1% who live above the rest of us. The 1% out of 100%. All right? I don't know why I have 4 up. Because I said Bruce, Tony, and Lex. Their day-to-day activities are way above our pay grade, so we don't get an audience with people like that. Let's just keep it 100. And Batman will defend the interest of Bruce Wayne. I'm not saying that he won't crash a Batmobile or crash a Batboat, but he has insurance. He can recoup those losses. If our cars are crashed, it's not so easy to replace that. Same thing with Tony Stark. He can give the Mandarin his address. They can blow his house up. He has homeowner's insurance. That house was probably rebuilt while the fires were still going. I mean, not really. Lex Luthor, come on. This man manipulates the system better than Bruce Wayne. Batman said that himself. He said he has more money than Lex Luthor, but Lex Luthor can manipulate the system better than he can. So we're talking about white-collar gains with these 3. So let me go on. It says they have been poisoned because the audience is so overexposed to plot and explosions in SHIT. That doesn't mean nothing about the experience of being human. Now, I would have loved for him to go on about that. So let's look at the Age of Ultron. No, that's not fair. Because he said this in 2014. So we have to go to the movies that were prior to him making those comments. And Age of Ultron came out the year after. So he's talking about Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Captain America, Avengers, and maybe some of the Dark Knight, and yes, Dark Knight was 2008, and the Dark Knight Rises was 2012. So we can include the Nolan trilogy. Now, there's no Lex Luthor in any of those movies. So we're Tony Stark in the heck out of it, and we're Bruce Wayne in the heck out of it. Okay. Now, Tony Stark pays for Iron Man stuff. Bruce Wayne pays for Batman stuff. There's no loss to these guys if something blows up. You lose a loved one, I'm going to fight the good fight, but they're still coping with a loss of a family member. And Batman knows about loss, okay? Bruce Wayne knows about loss. So he goes on to say that the audience is overexposed to plot and explosions and stuff that doesn't mean nothing about the experience of being human. So the question is, what does he mean by that? The experience of being human. Now, Avengers deals with an alien invasion. And prior to the Chitauri touching down in New York City, we see clashing egos. So nothing really human about the Avengers. We see a clash between Captain America and I think it's Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man to kind of have a 2-on-1 fight. And it's over the custody of Loki. Now, Loki was subjecting people in Berlin to his powers. I'm not going to say he has magic, but I guess you can say he has magic, Loki. So this is more of like power sort of enveloping and encompassing people. So it's not really about the human experience, Avengers. Now, the only thing human about it is the death of Agent Coulson. You feel that one a little bit. And you know what I love about the afterword of that scene, the meeting? Tony Stark is looking this way. And that's great acting to me. That's just saying that he is just totally disconcerted by what has happened to Agent Coulson. He's not even looking at Nick Fury or Captain America because I think only 2 of them showed up, I think. Was Black Widow in that meeting? I don't remember. So, but the movie is not about Agent Coulson. The movie is about the Avengers. And no, there is no human experience in that movie. The Dark Knight. Plenty of explosions. Nothing to do with being human. Batman is the enemy in his own movie, The Dark Knight. Gotham City has turned against Batman, but it has nothing to do with Bruce Wayne being Bruce Wayne. Now, we know he loses his love, Rachel Dawes, but that's like a small tidbit. If anything, Harvey Dent was more human than Batman, because he's crushed by this loss, and he can't get over it. That Two-Face is more human than Batman is in that movie. Dark Knight Rises, Bane wants revenge because, Talia al Ghul wants revenge on Bruce Wayne and his city because her father, Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's, no, they call him Ra's in the movie, died trying to destroy Gotham City. Not much humanity in that movie. And I'm looking at it from an objective perspective, okay? Let's go back to Batman Begins. It's not really about being human. Again, Bruce Wayne is not dealing with his trauma. He's fighting against the evil that claimed the lives of his parents. Fighting. If you make yourself more than just a man, not a human experience. So Inarritu isn't just like blowing smoke here. Those movies are really about the plot of them, about explosions, about things that don't make you a person. So for Robert Downey Jr. to come back with this scathing response, let me say it exactly how he said it. For a man whose native tongue is Spanish to be able to put together a phrase like cultural genocide just speaks to how bright he is. So a lot of sarcasm in that remark. Now, we know about Robert Downey Jr. All right? Alcoholism out the wazoo. And I'm not saying this to put the man down. I'm just going by facts. These are public facts. This is public knowledge. So apparently that sarcasm, that snarkiness is basically who Robert Downey Jr. is apparently. Like, this was just an insult. This was just a childish comeback by Robert. Now, I would have loved if he would have gone on the record and defended the movies against what Inarritu was talking about. All Inarritu said is, I don't like those movies. He did say cultural genocide. So yeah, that's a little rough. But this is very interesting. And I love thought-provoking stuff like this. I could go on for about another hour talking about this, but I'm not going to because I want you guys to stay invested. I want you guys to stay interested in what is going on here at The Great Expanse by John Bat 426. If you like this video, hit like. If you dislike it and thought it was too deep, hit dislike. Share the video, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, all, so that when a new video is dropped and more content becomes available, you will know about it second because I will know about it twice. And let's make The Great Expanse by John Bat 426 expand even more. Let's widen the conversation. You know what I mean? Now, we're still talking about comic book stuff and other stuff. And ideas are coming into my brain now, but I'm gonna stop it right there because maybe this is a conversation that should be shared for another video. Shared, CHAIRED. Maybe we should share this discussion for another video because I'm thinking about things now as I'm doing my outro here. So I'm just going to say peace, and I appreciate each and every last one of you. Thank you.